my friends, and welcome to episode 113 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudio Spera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
On this roundtable discussion, we are joined by podcast hosts Rob and Nick from Right Between the Eyes. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
We are also joined by Xander from Kiss Army Things.
Hey.
And Brand from In My Head.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome to the show, boys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
It's so nice to have you. So I'm going to echo, what Paz was just saying. It's amazing to have you guys. So thank you for your time. So this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is good.
Before we begin the show, our listeners need to know the concept behind the round table. And who else better than Rob, our friend, to explain what it's all about? Rob, on to you.
Now, I just bought this table and somehow it ended up in somebody else's house for a discussion. And I love that. So long story short, we were going to do our first episode for the Road to Rosemont series, and scheduling had got, schedules happened. We couldn't make it happen. I remember sitting there that day going, I wonder, I was all prepped to do a podcast, and in our chat, and I was talking to Brant, and I said, do you still just want to do something? He's like, yeah, sure. Why not? He said, what's the topic? I was like, I don't know. I don't have anything. And I was like, how about we're just a couple dudes in a Kiss t-shirt and go, hey, you got a Kiss t-shirt on. Hey, I got a Kiss t-shirt on. You must like Kiss. And that was a topic. No framework. I think we had a little seed of like, Brant had one little thing to talk about and I had one little thing. And we thought when the clock hits about an hour, that's the end of the episode. So we did that once. And we did it a second time with some of you on here. And others were like, oh, I'd like to be a part of this. So then Pasquale had the idea, well, I'd like to do it. So this round table folds up and it fits nicely in someone's car and it can drive, and it's being hosted in Canada right now. So there was no framework for it. It's like, we're all Kiss fans. We will find something to talk about somewhere. And the cool thing is one conversation could splinter down to 4 or 5 rabbit holes. I think that's just the fun thing about it. So I don't know how it works here in Canada, but I'm going to find out. I'm excited.
So what's going to happen for this particular episode? So we ask that everybody come prepared with at least 2 topic questions. We're not going to use both each. We're just going to use one each. I asked for 2 just in case somebody else used yours. Besides that, completely unscripted. This goes wherever it goes. Everybody good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the first topic by our leader here, Rob, the brainchild of this roundtable. Get us started.
Well, as I was driving home from band practice, I was listening to Kiss, and something I'm going to steal from Kiss Army Things. Daphne said something on a previous episode that she thinks Asylum is a summertime album. That really hit with her. And I think I'm Alive is the song that she was talking about in particular. Yeah. So I had been listening to that, and that got me thinking, man, what other songs that you could just listen to, and you could pick seasons. But my thing was like, what is a summertime Kiss song? When you hear it, it just puts you in that frame of mind. It's summertime. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to the cabin, or whatever that is. We always do lists on our show, so I won't do the 9 here. But, for me, I started with Asylum from what Daphne had said. And that didn't leave my car. I thought, I never really thought of as Asylum as a summertime album, but it really sure feels like it. So Alive has just been on repeat for me. So that was my thing. You could pick an album that you feel is a summertime, or just that song. You're like, man, this just makes me think of summer because I did this thing, and that happened to be the album I was listening to. Mm-hmm. So my other one would be Revenge, the summer of, that came out in May, in between my junior and senior year of high school. That album just did not leave. So like Heart of Chrome, and we're constantly just on repeat. So that would be mine, Heart of Chrome or I'm Alive. So that was my thing. What's your summertime Kiss song or album?
Okay, if I can go next, that's an easy one. it's not a song particularly, but it's an album, Dressed to Kill.
Mm.
I remember in my 30s, I wasn't driving then. My friends were driving, and I wanted to get them into Kiss. So I insisted on playing some Kiss songs in their car. And I remember playing Dressed to Kill, rolling down the window, and we blasted it. And everybody really seemed to enjoy it. And I remember distinctly, a car pulled up next to us. Girls, they rolled down the window, goes, "Hey, that is cool. What's that?" "It's Kiss." Oh, and they drove off.
Wow.
But this, despite that, because they heard it's Kiss, fine. Yeah, but you know what? When they first heard the music, man, they enjoyed it. My friends enjoyed it. So to me, that always had the that summer spirit.
That's a good one.
Awesome.
I like that.
How about Xander next?
So for summer album, I'm going to go with Rock and Roll Over because speaking of Daphne, that's one that we always listen to whenever we go on long road trips. Sometimes we go to the beach and it's like a 7 to 8 hour drive. That album on the way there and back is always one that we listen to. Rock and Roll Over, for whatever reason, is just front to back. It's, I think we can all agree, a pretty perfect Kiss album. But songs like Baby Driver and I Want You, Making Love, they just sound better on the road. But as far as a song goes, I think Rock and Roll Over will be the album, the summer album. But if I had to pick just one song, I'm going to kind of go off what Pasquale was saying and say Getaway.
Song.
Yeah, that's a great tune.
And it's funny because you're thinking, oh, Baby Driver, Getaway, two Peter songs. Well, Getaway was written by Ace. And that's something I always forget about, that Ace wrote that song. But because he wasn't comfortable singing yet, Peter was the one to sing it live, which he did great. But I never give Ace the credit for writing that song. And it showcases just how good of a songwriter he was at that time, even though, of course, Parasite and Cold Gin we already knew. But Getaway is a song that, even though it's really short, and I just love that song. I think it's great delivery by Peter, great production, and I just love that song no matter what. And every time it's the summertime, that's one that I just always put on because of the way it makes me feel. Again, when you're going on road trips, you just got to get away. You don't want to stay, leaving tomorrow by some way. And it's just, I love that. The lyrics fit so well. So you go on a summer getaway and time to get away. So
that's one of those albums I'm going to have to revisit. I haven't listened to that in a while. And as Pasquale was talking, I had Getaway in my head. And I always forget that Ace writes that song. If you'd asked me who wrote that song, I'd have been like, oh, it's probably Paul or maybe Peter co-written. I completely forgot that.
Such a great tune. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Good one. Okay, we'll go with Nick next.
Well, guys, nobody said Hotter Than Hell. I mean, come on. Summertime song. No, you know what? For me, I remember, and I don't think it was the year it came out, but for some reason, Kiss Alive 3 was a fantastic find whenever it was that I got around to getting it. And I just remember being like completely enthralled with kind of the takes on the old songs and the raunchiness of the new songs. And as Rob knows, if you listen to our show, I really checked out on the band in the 80s. I wasn't around for a lot of it, but I remember a particular summer, whenever that did come out, or the following summer, just driving around and really blasting those songs. Like, I love that version of I Was Made for Loving You on that album. Watching You is just a killer track. Heaven's on Fire. It just felt to me like it was like the perfect temperature, if you will. That live album. It was so different from Alive and Alive 2. And for me, I still go back. We just bought the album from Kiss Online. I really still wish they would go back and expand that album a bit and add maybe 5 or 6 tracks to it. But that was probably like a summertime thing for me, with the windows down, driving around, blasting that song, especially I Was Made for Loving You, because I was not a fan when that song first came out. And I remember never really listening to it, but that version rocks on that album. And it changed the whole dynamic of that song for me.
Nice. Claudio, how about you?
Well, independently on when the album was released, just for the fun of it, because summer is fun, and we want to laugh and have a drink or two. In my case, it's Unmasked. I don't know, those songs there, man. It's they're so much fun. It makes me smile. A strong delivery from Ace, on those songs there. Paul too. Naked City from Gene. Amazing album, and I love it. But if I have to pick a song, actually it doesn't come from Unmasked. It's gonna be Crazy Nights.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy Nights to
Great
me.
summer
It's
song, dude.
so much
Good one.
fun, man. It's like I remember blasting that song, and even Turn On the Night. You know, those keyboards there. You know, it's not very kind of rock kiss, but still, I remember that summer. You know, I was blasting that album. You know, from A to Z. Yeah.
nice. Brent.
I'm trying to pick an album that hadn't been picked because I originally was thinking Rock and Roll Over,
Mhm.
and then I started thinking, well, Unmasked, and but that leaves me with an album that's not been picked yet, and I two albums popped to mind just basically because of one being the summer album that I listened to a lot during the summer. I listened to it a lot, period, but I listened to it a lot during the summer even more. It's Kiss Alive 2. Kiss Alive 2 is just bombastic. It's just a bombastic album. Even the studio tracks are great. All American Man, Rocket Ride, those are great to be listening to driving down the road. You'll get a speeding ticket listening to Rocket Ride. Be careful. But you know, it was just great songs. And so yeah, my album to blast for summer is Alive 2. But when it comes to songs, I love all of Paul's songs seem to be very summerish off of Revenge. You got Take It Off.
Take It Off.
Yeah, you got those songs like that. That's just, and those songs. I remember that era of whenever that album came out, and some of those songs, you know, being in the strip club and stuff like that. I was living those days back in the day. Just songs off of Revenge. A lot of Paul's songs off of Revenge are just such great summer songs.
Now,
Love it.
what is the trivia behind the song I Just Wanna? What song did Paul pattern that off of? Summertime Blues. I got a body built for sin and an appetite for passion. I'm
That's
going to
right.
raise a fuss. I'm going to raise a
Oh,
holler.
wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
I had no
Wow.
idea.
That's good.
That's in a book, Kiss and Makeup. I've got it somewhere. Paul
Wow.
says, yeah, I stole the pattern progression from that song.
Wow. Learn something every day.
Yep. All right, next topic.
The more
Sandra?
you know.
Oh, it's going to me next. Okay,
Yeah.
for sure. So
You
this
know.
one is a little bit of it's a leftover topic from Kiss Army Things, but it was something that Jeb mentioned a while ago, and it was a drive-by conversation. But I think we need to open this up to all six of us and go through this. I want to get everybody else's thoughts on this and opinions on this. So Jeb, in an episode, threw out the idea, hey, what if you had to erase completely one Kiss album?
Oh.
What would it be and why? And that one, and so do I get to go first or do I get to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it
Go
matter?
ahead.
Okay. Because I thought about, and I think my answer may have been the same. I didn't review the episode to get, whatever I said the first time, but it may be the same as the first time. But if I had to choose one Kiss album to erase, sorry, Rob, you're wearing the shirt. It's Carnival of Souls. Not because I don't like it, but because I have to try and find the one that is maybe the least consequential. And because they didn't tour on that album, they've never played a song live from that album before. I feel like if you're going to, even the Elder, it's like, I feel like Carnival may be the album that you could erase and delete and maybe kind of get away with it, and it wouldn't disrupt too much in history. But I don't know. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. So if you had to, for whatever reason, you had to erase from history completely one Kiss album, what would it be?
I don't even know you anymore.
I know, right? Isn't that terrible? You got to make it real hard.
Xander's not allowed back at the table.
Right. I
I've
lost
been
my
dismissed.
table and I lost my shirt.
That's right. You got to go and get changed now.
All right, so Rob, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Danger. What can I pull off his wall? What does he like and treasure so much? No.
Sonic Boom.
Monster Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
My gut wants to go, let's get rid of the Elder. They're always wanting to pan it. Here's a hot take. If I had to delete, this is a hot take. This will probably get people not watching our show anymore.
I'm not gonna like this.
I love the album cover. It is iconic. It has some great tunes, but overall, it is my least played Kiss album. And I'm like, it's got some great tunes, but I don't think there's enough connective tissue. I would delete Love Gun.
What?
Wow, for sure.
Whoa.
I think we're
Wow.
gonna lose.
wow.
I don't know. I
And-
don't know him anymore.
Oh wow.
Nico
Love
is
Gun.
really upset. Nico just
Nico
quit the
just
show.
drove off the road because he's listening.
Yeah.
He's coming.
Wow.
He's-
So
he's-
you're just gonna throw Ace's lead
debut.
vocal in the trash.
Yeah.
The reason
Can I
I
ask
say
you why, Rob? Why?
I
Yeah.
love I Stole Your Love. I
Yeah.
love Shock Me. I love the songs. Got
Almost
Love for
Human?
Sale. I'm like, what was Gene's other one towards the tail end? See, here's the
Almost
other
Human.
reason.
Christy
Yeah, Almost
16.
Human. Yeah, I
See You
don't
in Your
think
Dreams?
Gene. Yeah, See You in Your Dreams. I'm like, oh God, he did that song better on his solo album than he did on Love Gun. I think he got another work.
Truth.
on it.
It was on. It was on.
Truth.
I think it's on Rock and Roll
Rock and
Over.
roll over.
Yeah, it's on
Oh, Rock.
Roll.
That's right. That's
Rock and Roll
right.
Over. Yeah, See You in Your Dreams. I get those two mixed up because they
And-
sound so
Yeah.
much alike.
And I
Even
think
Paul does. Right?
Yeah, Paul does. And I think that's the big thing for me. That album is not, again, I'm gonna get booed for this. It's not memorable enough for me to remember what are the other songs on that album.
Okay.
I could go through all the songs of Just to Kill. I could go
Plaster
through all the songs.
Caster.
Plaster Caster is another good tune, but that song sounds better on MTV Unplugged. I
Hmm.
don't like the way that it sounds
Hmm.
sonically on
Mhm.
that album.
But if you
Um,
didn't have Love Gun, you wouldn't have Plaster Caster, Rob.
What
I don't
about
have
Then She
Plaster
Kissed
Caster.
Me?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Love
then
Gun-
She Kissed Me. I mean,
it's-
come on.
it's a I know it's a great album, but I don't know if that's blown. I don't know. I should probably
No, I-
stop
I-
talking.
So
There's-
here's
I get
the
what you're saying.
challenge. We need to convince Rob.
Yeah.
Of
That-
what
to
you
me
just said,
there's
you know?
just some holes in that album that really prevent it from being a great album in my
Okay.
opinion.
Can I say something real quick? I think I know what you're saying, Rob. You're saying compared to albums like Destroyer and
Destroyer.
Rock and Roll Over, there is more filler on Love Gun than there is on those albums.
Yes,
Got Love for Sale, Then She Kissed Me. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. There's a little bit more filler compared to those albums.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying.
Well, this is a tough one, man, because we don't want to delete any of the albums, right?
No.
So, but if you have to pick one, well, it makes sense. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
All right. So Claudia, how about you?
I'm gonna go with the album that I listen the list. That's my criteria to pick it up. Maybe what Sanders said, it makes sense, to go back in history and see what fits and what not. So Carnival makes a lot of sense. But in my case, I'm gonna go with Asylum. So Asylum is the album that I listen the list. I don't know. I tried to dig it big time, but there's something that doesn't catch me. There's great tunes. Tears Are Falling, Who Wants to Be Lonely, King of the Mountain, and all of that. But I don't know, the sound of the guitars and all of that. I think that Bruce, it was his first album there, and he couldn't find his place yet. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Asylum. I could live with history without Asylum. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
Those outfits. Yeah, sure. I can live
Yeah.
without those too.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, what do you think?
Well, I know it's kind of become a cool thing to like this album, but at the end of the day, like I never really listened to it, and it's The Elder for me. I mean, it's aged a little bit better, I think, for people. I think it's become like this cult classic, if you will.
Mhm.
But I honestly don't know how many people. I can't speak for anybody here. I don't know how often anybody goes back and listens to it. There's a couple of really cool things on there, sure, but it's never been touched. They never do anything with it. They really kind of banished it from their history themselves, to be honest with you. And when I look at all the other albums, even though some of those from the 80s aren't particularly memorable, they at least have a couple of tracks on there that I really dig and that I listen to and that I think that have been performed live on the bootlegs and stuff. But The Elders just, it's like a story. It's like a weird piece of their history that even they don't recognize. So to me, I never listened to it. So it's an easy choice for me.
For sure.
Yeah. Right, Brent?
Well, I mean, you could, if you look at what albums that Kiss fans really revolted against back in the day. You know, they revolted against Dynasty. They revolted against Unmasked. They revolted against The Elder. You know, they lost probably almost more than 50% of their fan base on those albums and had to rebuild it and build back. You know, with Creatures and with Lick It Up and Asylum, Animalize and those albums. But if it was me, and even though, yeah, I can see deleting some albums that possibly caused the band a lot of damage, I would not dare delete Dynasty or Unmasked or even The Elder or Carnival. Even though that, you know, Carnival's just about as much of a bastard child as The Elder is when it comes to the band. I would delete. I'm kind of taking Claudio's perspective. I would delete the album that I really could do without and live without. And it's the album that I did not ever buy and purchase until I actually started reviewing Kiss albums, and that'd be Crazy Nights. I'd delete Crazy Nights. I think if you talk about a misstep, I know they were trying to keep up with everything that the other bands were doing, but Kiss was never meant to be Bon Jovi. And so I just think, even though it's got some great tunes on it, it's got some good summer tunes on it. And Crazy Nights is a great song. But and it has grown on me. I will say that. It has grown on me, both it and Hot in the Shade, which I didn't own until I actually started reviewing Kiss albums. Now think about that. As long as I've been a Kiss fan, there was 2 albums in the catalog that I never owned until I started reviewing Kiss albums for my YouTube channel 5 years ago. And it was those 2 albums, and they both grown on me. But, you know, even though Hot in the Shade has a lot of bloat on it, and, you know, it's the demo status and drum machines and stuff like that, I would have to get rid of Crazy Nights, because I never touch it. I pull Crazy Nights out maybe 2-3 times a year, 4 or 5 at most. So it's the album I touch the least.
For sure. I thought you were going to say Monster.
Yeah, me too.
I did too.
No, actually, like I said, I mentioned it in our video that we did, Sonic Monster. Those 2 albums have actually really started to grow on me, because I, one, am becoming a softer, gentler, newer era Kiss fan. And, you know, it's not the new era, it's the era that's been in for the last 20 something years. Right. But I'm just trying to, I listen to those albums with my eyes, or my ears, not my eyes. And I try to ignore the fact that what Kiss has done in the last 20 years, that a lot of Kiss fans have gotten upset about with when it comes to terms of Ace and when Tommy and Eric. But like Xander said in his video, if we didn't have those guys, we wouldn't have had Kiss after at least in the form we have them now.
Have you answered, Pasquale, about what album you would take away yet?
Yeah. I like those Facebook posts where you see different types of food and you have to choose which one you would get rid of, you know, and they're all difficult to get rid of, right? So for me, which one do I have the least amount of attachment to, you know? And I think as a Kiss fan, most of the albums, Kiss fans have some form of attachment in one way or another, even The Elder. Rob, I'm sorry, but the one album I feel that most fans don't have an attachment to, and I know I don't, is Carnival of Souls. If that one disappeared, it would not make a difference in Kiss history whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, the album being here, it's like it's not even here. No one pays attention to it whatsoever. So it's almost like it doesn't count. It's not part of the canon of history.
I almost wonder if that didn't get leaked, if it ever would have come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Other than a like the box set may have been the first time we would have heard Childhood's End, or oh, what's this? You know.
Yeah, good point.
It would have been a series of unreleased tracks. And the funny thing about Carnival of Souls is I have a son who's about Nico's age. I think Nico's what, 27, Nick?
27, yep.
Okay, so my son Steven,
I was 15 when Nico. No, I'm just kidding.
My son and Nico are about the same age, and when I play Carnival Souls for him, or when I've played Carnival Souls for different random people, and not knowing who it is, they love it.
They like it.
And people love it. And then when I say, oh, this is Kiss, and they're like, wow, is this their new album? I'm like, no, it came out like 20 years ago. And they're always like, really? This sounds like it could have come out last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really hate that people can't get over the fact that, I mean, they can get over Kiss putting out and attach themselves to something like The Elder, or something like Crazy Nights, or like Dynasty, or the Disco Dynasty, the Poppy Unmasked. But they can't grasp onto the fact that Kiss made an album that sounded like grunge and really showed off the musicianship of not only Eric and Bruce, but also Paul and Gene too.
Yeah.
And they pushed those guys to make a really legit album. That's why I love that era so much, that Revenge Carnival Souls era, that band. I wish I had more of it.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Next topic, Nick.
I always think of this thing. It's kind of crazy because I think we know he never would have done it. But in this new iteration of Kiss that we have since Peter and Ace left or whatever, and Eric came back and wore the makeup, I always wonder what would have happened if Bruce took on the mantle, Bruce Kulik, instead of Tommy Thayer. I wonder, like, how different the band would be musically, with new music, writing new music, performing. I mean, it's hard. I guess it's hard to imagine visualizing him doing it. And we've heard him talk a lot about how he never would do it. He didn't think he could do it. But if he was given the chance, I mean, really, would he not have maybe thought about it? I mean, what do you guys think about that? Or is that just so far-fetched to think that Bruce Kulik would ever take up the mantle of Space Ace? Because it's not a diss to me of Tommy, because I do like Tommy. I've met Tommy before. I think Tommy's a big historian of Kiss. I just wonder if he was better in the background, kind of pulling the strings, coming up with the creative ideas, and letting somebody like Kulik and Singer together with the band, reunited like that. I think about it all the time, like maybe how different it would have been over the last 20 years or so.
Well, I think here's the irony, right? When Bruce joined the band, I felt that was the beginning of some consistency with the band. And if Bruce were to join Kiss or put on the makeup, I think the band would become inconsistent again, because Bruce plays like Bruce. If he was told to play like Ace, I don't believe he would do it. I don't believe he could do it. Not that he can't play like Ace, but that he plays like Bruce. I don't think it would work.
I just think that would be better than, I don't know, it would be a little bit more exciting to me than what we get from Tommy, where it's just note for note. I don't know. That's how I think about it.
Well, look at Eric, right? Eric doesn't play like Peter Criss. He plays like Eric Singer.
That's correct. Right.
Right. And there's something a little bit extra in the classic Kiss music today. Would Bruce bring that something extra to the present Kiss now? I don't know, and I can't imagine him with makeup on.
Yeah, I can't either. I don't know. Do we know? Was he even ever asked, or was it just like not? No, never.
I don't think so.
I want to say that there was, trying to remember whose podcast had him on, and I think he loosely addressed it like there was like talks like leaning towards that, but he kind of dismissed it early on. I don't think that's anything official, but I think that kind of came through, and he just was like, nah, I'd rather not. I don't hold me to that, but I want to say I heard it on someone's show, and I wish I could remember.
Do you think it would be weird, Rob, seeing him like that, or knowing the kind of guy he is? Or do you think if he did it, it would have just been kind of the smooth reformation of what they were?
I'll answer it by saying this. I was thinking like other albums I could have deleted. My other gut reaction was Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits because of Beth and some
Yeah.
other things. But I remember listening to first time I heard Bruce play like Deuce. I'm like, that's not the solo for Deuce. Like, can he not play the solo? You know, people will bag on Tommy going, he's trying to sound like Ace. No, he's playing the solo. We've all watched YouTube people play Eddie Van Halen solos note for note and things for things. And I would go, so was Bruce incapable of playing those solos, or were Paul and Gene like, no, here's the framework. You got to go to the A, to the D, to the G, whatever. But however you get there is how you get there. So I don't know if that would be a regression for him to go, okay, now I've got to play these solos exact. And that may be a hard thing to unlearn. Or is it Bruce was in for 12 years, Eric was only in for 5. So it wasn't that hard of a switch for Eric to do. I don't know. I'm really not answering the question. I would like to say, yeah, it'd be cool to see the Revenge lineup in makeup, but I don't know. I think having the person on stage currently right now is replicating those solos exactly the way they need to be played, with the exception of hearing him try and play Unholy and Tears Are Falling and hearing Tommy tell Bruce, why'd you do all that tremolo stuff? You know, he doesn't have the whammy bar. So Tommy's got to figure a way to augment that solo different from Bruce. So that made me go, well, maybe Bruce is more the well-rounded player. I didn't answer the question. I sidestepped it. I think it would be odd just because I can't, like Xander, you say in your show all the time, we're living in reality and trying to do the what if thing is making my brain hurt. I love Bruce so much, but I don't know. I think it would feel awkward to see him up there because we had such a long time with him out of makeup.
Okay.
I have a hot take on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
To me, now this is a guy that's an old school Kiss fan looking at this. To me, I thought whenever all the reunion stuff with the farewell stuff was going on, and Peter didn't want to play anymore, so they still had Ace in the band, so they pulled Ace out. They pulled Peter out of the band, replaced him with Eric, brought Eric back, somebody we knew and loved, and put him in the makeup. The first time I saw Eric in the makeup, it's still weird to see Eric and Tommy in the makeup for me because they're not Ace and Peter. And that's not a shot at them. It's just I grew up seeing the faces of those guys in that makeup. And their faces are not the same. Eric's face isn't the same. Tommy's face isn't the same. Eric's is more like Peter's than Tommy's is like like Ace's, but they're not the same. So the first time I saw Eric in the makeup with Ace, even though they sounded great, it looked weird. It didn't feel right. And then Ace leaves. And so then for Symphony, you have Eric still in the makeup, or you have Peter comes back and plays. And then they put Tommy in as the guitarist. To me, it was just as weird seeing Tommy in the Ace makeup. It would have been just as weird if it would have been Bruce. Whether it was Bruce or whether it was Tommy, it was anybody other than Ace. So to me, I think that I think Kiss did a misstep by not. I mean, I know they reached out to Bruce, or at least we think they did. And I mean, I thought there was even some actual makeup they had for Bruce back in the day. If they would have kept the makeup on with Eric, like Hawkman or Dog Man or whatever it was going to be, the ridiculous drawings that Paul had where it looked like he wasn't even trying. But honestly, I think they should have brought Bruce back and instead of Tommy. and then if they were just going to keep going with that band, then that would be the band that we would have today. I think they would actually be I think that they'd be just as solid live. But I think Monster and Sonic Boom would have been better albums because Bruce is a hell of a songwriter. And I'm not saying that Tommy isn't, but Bruce is kind of on a different level. But honestly, I think the big misstep the Kiss did was when the reunion was over, maybe bring Bruce back to fill in for Ace And so there at the end of that, at the end of all that stuff, you have you bring back the band, you take the makeup off and bring the band back, bring back Bruce, bring back Eric, and you try to make something and go back to being a rock and roll band, rather than and God, don't throw anything at me, but rather than a show or a brand, which they are, and they are a show and they are a brand. But I think they rest very heavily on that makeup, and they rest very heavily on nostalgia and on tribute and on things like that. I just miss when Kiss just really when they quit trying to be a band and then just began to imitate themselves.
Yeah.
And like I said, and it has nothing to do with this current era. Like I said, there's things I like about this current era. There's things I disliked about the old eras. I disliked that Ace and Peter couldn't keep it together, and I disliked that Peter and Gene were maybe a little too hard on them, maybe a little bit too control freaks. That the four guys just couldn't stay together, and they ended up having to fire and quit. And so I'm spinning off into a cornfield, so I'll be quiet. But I think it would have been just as weird to see Bruce in the makeup for me, just as weird as it is to see Tommy in it for me.
Sure. All right, Claudio, what do you think?
Oh, this is a tough one, because now that we got used to see Tommy as the spaceman, okay, so now it's even more complicated to try to figure out how it would be to have Bruce there. But I think that if they had picked Bruce early on, we could have get used to it. We could be saying, okay, that's the spaceman, and it is what it is. But I have to agree with Brandt on this one. And again, you might not agree with me, but I don't think that. So I think that when the reunion happened, there was a big business, coming up, and Paul and Gene and the Kiss company, they wanted to recreate somehow, the four iconic, faces, and merchandising and records and everything. So, and I think that Tommy was closer to Ace than Bruce. Not only from the kind of a technical point of view, how he played guitar, but he was, a big collaborator with the band, and he was more maybe manageable for Paul and Gene than Bruce, sure. Because to Bruce, he was part of the band, and musically he grew, and he made the band grow a lot. So then it's tough to tell the guy, well, now you have to play this and this, on Shock Me, you got to do this and that. And again, you might not agree with me, but I don't think that Eric Singer plays like he used to play in Revenge. So he's not playing the same way, okay? I'm not saying that he's playing like Peter, but he tried to find like a midpoint there.
I agree.
Try to do a couple of drills there, because he can't, he can't hold it, but he's not playing the way he was playing on Alive 3, the way he was playing on Revenge. So then, to me, Paul and Gene, they're doing their best to recreate, the makeup, the Kiss image and everything. And I think that for that, Tommy, it's a better pick than Bruce.
Nice. Okay, Xander.
It's tough to say, because I know that Bruce has said in the past that wearing the makeup wasn't something that he was interested in. So I've kind of closed that part of my imagination off. But I think that one thing I would like to have seen, if that were to have happened, if Bruce had taken over and worn the makeup, and all of a sudden in 2004, instead of Rock the Nation tour with Eric and Tommy, you have Eric and Bruce, which is kind of like the Revenge lineup again. And so I feel like if that were to be the case, if it's like, hey, this is Revenge era Kiss, a beloved era, great music, we're back in makeup, I feel like they should have, or would have, or could have started making new music sooner.
Exactly.
I think that the current lineup waited too long
Yeah.
to decide to release new music.
Absolutely.
Because they kind of were just treading waters, saying, where are we at right now? Some hit and run tours.
Sure.
And then they did Sonic Boom, and then they did Monster. But by then, nobody really cared, or at least the majority of Kiss fans did. So they had to embrace being a legacy band. But yeah, like Brant was saying, I too missed when the band was, creating new music, new albums, and new costumes, and all that stuff. So maybe perhaps if Bruce had joined the band, it would have maybe lit a fire under them to create new music and do it sooner and more consistently. And perhaps that music would have also reflected some of the music from Revenge. But rather than, again, trying to, with Sonic Boom and Monster, they went back to their form. They kind of returned to their roots. And so perhaps they would have done that with whatever album it would have been called with Eric and Bruce. And then that would have maybe gotten the attention of like critics and, modern rock and metal fans. And that would have pushed Kiss back to the top as a album selling band. Then they could do, I'm assuming they wouldn't have done Kiss Alive 4, the symphony tour. So maybe they could have done Kiss Alive 4 in a different way, and then had another trio of albums before another live album. And maybe it could have been an engine like that, as opposed to, treading water, seeing where we're at, release a couple albums, hopefully do well. Okay, we didn't. Let's just embrace being a legacy band and make a headliner band, and then we'll just kind of ride into the sunset. Again, who knows with the what if stuff, but I do like the idea of thinking about what would have happened. Perhaps they could have made more music. That's what I would like to have saw, at least.
Yeah. I'd still like more music.
Yeah, me too. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys, this is a blast, man. We're halfway through this, and I'm loving the discussions, and so much I never thought about, man. This is really a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun.
This is great.
So speaking of fun, let's go to Brent. You're next.
Okay. Mine's going to probably be, I don't know how deep mine will be. It's just something I wanted to talk with you guys about. Because once again, for once, I'm going to try not to be controversial. But we've kind of already talked about one of these things. So I'm going to skip one of my questions. We kind of talked about it, but what do you guys think about right now where we are in this year? We are halfway through this year. What do you guys think about the lack of off the soundboards or box set announcements or releases or even deluxe releases? This seems like, compared to 2022, it seems like this year is a little bit of a drought. It's like they were throwing stuff at us every other month, or sometimes a couple things in a month. And now it's like tumbleweeds, coming out of Kiss Online.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are we going to see another off the soundboard? What do you think? Are we going to see it off the soundboard? Are we going to see an announcement of a box set this year? Or what do you guys think those could possibly be? What would your wish list be? What would you like to see a box set of, or an off the soundboard of, that we've not gotten so far yet?
Oh, that's great stuff, man.
Nick, I remember on your show, you were saying, "Hey, wait a minute, this is too much. It's coming fast and furious."
Too much.
And now we're saying that there's too little. I welcome the break because
Ditto.
last year, man, it was too much.
But I do remember, Pascal, when we discussed, with Nick and Rob, and we kind of predicted that maybe 2023 was going to slow down because 2022 it was too much, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that now that I agree with Brant, so I think we went to the other extreme. It's too quiet. There's almost nothing coming up, right?
It was so exciting. Just about every month, Rob was texting me while I was driving in the car, and I almost killed myself like 6 or 7 times. And he's like, and he always goes, "OMG." He doesn't give it to you right away, right? No. And I'm like, what now? And it's like, here it comes, right? So the only thing I could tell you guys is that I do think last year was a ton of fun, but I do think they released too much. And what probably happened is we all know the business world. I tend to think that their Creatures box set and the last couple of off the soundboards, I don't think they sold as well. And you know how these guys are, and you know how these record companies are. And I think it just becomes like let's temper it down. Now, I do agree with Brant that it's almost too slow this year. It's really to the extreme. So for me, I'm always waiting to get the text from Rob because I think we're way overdue for the next Off the Soundboard. I would love to see Sydney or an Unmasked show. I would love to see a Dynasty show. Those are my two. I would love to see a hits show. Those are the three that I'm looking for. As far as the box set is concerned, I think that we all kind of feel like the 50-year anniversary is coming up. It's next year, obviously. But I do think I follow that Tom German. I think that's how he says his last name. You guys had him on. That was an outstanding show. You guys had him on. And I follow him on whatever social media he's on. And I think I saw somewhere where he said there are things, but they got halted a bit.
Yeah.
So, it's the end of the road. They're trying to sell tickets for these last few shows. Maybe they feel like that takes the spotlight away a little bit, or the last few didn't sell as well. What do you guys think? I mean, I don't know, but the silence is deafening that we have not. What do we get? We got Kiss Alive 3. That's really it, right?
We got Poughkeepsie and Kiss Alive 3. That's it.
That's it. That's really it. And you said we're halfway. We're more than halfway almost into the year.
Yeah, I jumped over on Kiss Online just to make sure I've not missed anything, and we got Poughkeepsie and Kiss Alive 2. That's it. That's what we've got.
And, I like to go on Facebook and the Kiss My Wax group and DM some people and some rumors, and once in a while, someone will feed me a little something or a tease, but it's crickets, guys. I don't know about you guys. Has anybody heard anything?
You guys are saying how slow it is this year. So explain to me how I just bought 11 Kiss records. We always find a way. We always find a way. And I think this is the calm before the storm, because the 50th year, we're going to get the box sets. We're going to get everything all at once.
Right.
And I'm really hoping for the box set to be the original Kiss, the first Kiss album. Imagine what could come out of that with the Wicked Lesser stuff and everything.
Yes.
One of my two biggest shows, the show before I checked out, Dynasty. I wish that was off the soundboard, and the show where I checked back in, Hits. That for me, those would be my two. Oh, absolutely. Xander, what do you think?
Well, I don't want to repeat anything anybody else has said, but yeah, I think that it's quite clear that the past year or three has been pretty boom, boom, boom in terms of merch and anniversaries and things like that. So I really do think that on one hand, they are trying to allow fans to buy tickets as much as they can, stop with the merch and get them going to shows.
Yep.
They have 50 shows all over the world, mostly in the States here. I think in like October or something like that is when they're going to start in the States. But I think that's pretty much the main reason. I mean, tickets right now are $350, $200, and then plus the fees, and it's just ridiculous. So plus you got to have gas and food, and if you're going to get a hotel, it's just, so I think that, maybe perhaps they are trying to think like, hey, let's just focus on the tour, the shows, the band ending, and then we can feed their mouths full of merch afterwards and forevermore. I think that's kind of where we're at. Also, whenever they do these big merch releases, it's usually in conjunction with an anniversary. And we've been celebrating a lot of anniversaries in the last year or two, but I think this year has just been a dead year for anniversaries. The next one we have coming up is in a couple weeks. We have Kiss Alive 4. I'm hoping that Kiss Online drops some Kiss Alive 4 stuff hard. I want a vinyl picture disc. I want a vinyl re-release period. That's one of the only Kiss albums I don't have on vinyl is Kiss Alive 4. Trying to find it is like you're paying $500, $600 up to $1,000 for one record. So I'm hoping that they do shirts, they do their mugs and their slip mats or whatever they do. I want a t-shirt. The Kiss Alive 4, the graphic with Beethoven, he's wearing all four makeup and it says rock and roll or whatever it was. Yeah, like that's what I want. Like, yeah, your presence is requested, or 20 years of Kiss Alive 4, whatever it is. I hope that Kiss Alive 4 gets its due in a couple years, because 20 years, that's a big anniversary. I know fans are, more than just me, who are wanting a copy of Kiss Alive 4 on vinyl and are also having a hard time getting one. So kind of like what they did with The Elder. I mean, yeah, it may end up being a couple $100 for that record, but at least it beats paying $500, $600 plus to get one of the 2014 re-releases or even an original release. So I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens. But I'm hoping that, here pretty soon, this dry spell kind of goes away, and we end up look at this over here. Now, is that a real one or is that a
No, it's
counterfeit.
okay?
But
For sure.
yeah,
But still dope. Still dope.
yeah, but that's one of those things. I'm like, I spent $80 on a fake, and I'm like, I would like to have it because this is the one that has the tour with Eric and Tommy on the inside of it, which is really weird. But I agree with you. Yeah, Live 4.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of our like Christmas episode where we had you guys on, and Nick, you were really quick to say, well, what's coming up? Like, look it up. What is Psycho Circus? Is it 15?
25.
20, oh, yeah, 15, 25. Yeah.
There has to be something.
And that's one of those I go, are you going to celebrate every 5, 10, 15, 20?
Yeah.
Or should the anniversaries be 30, 40, more milestone? So looking at those very few albums that were, I would say worthy, that are big enough anniversaries to celebrate, there's not much. So going into this year, I thought, well, it's probably off the soundboard, probably a box set, but what box set are you going to put out on the heels of the 50th anniversary? I've always said you could announce the first album 50th anniversary just like you did, but you hold it till after the first of the year for release, so it actually releases on the 50th anniversary. But other things, again, like everybody's said, Hot in the Shade, to me that's a must. Hits needs to be represented. There was, from one of the guys at Kiss My Wax, had sent out like the projected off the soundboard before we got Poughkeepsie, and it was supposed to be a Kiss Cruise acoustic album, which that was pretty much all set and in the can. It was going to be all those acoustic performances, and probably with Ace and Bruce and those type of things. And then that got shelved. So unless they're going to squeeze another one in there somewhere, I think there's one more from the initial agreement. We're going to do X number, and then we're going to revisit. And I think Poughkeepsie got moved forward for Mark St. John and Eric Carr, and this acoustic cruise album was set in limbo. So wouldn't surprise me if something like that doesn't get released at about the time the Kiss Cruise would have happened, because it sounds like it's not going to happen anymore, which I think would be a nice way to go. Hey, remember the Kiss Cruise? Here's your thing.
I like that.
Here's your souvenir. Yeah.
Here's your
I hope so.
souvenir
I
for
like
it.
that.
So yeah, Hot in the Shade for me, and I think it's, my wallet is fine because some of us bought sound checks because of it, and some of us are driving to Chicago.
Yeah.
So my wallet says thank you right now.
Flying to Chicago.
Flying to Chicago.
Well, Claudia, you and me we're going to see 5 shows, including New York. That's going to be expensive.
I can't. I can't imagine New York.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. But I got a question for you guys. Speaking of spending money. Okay, so maybe we don't have a lot of vinyl releases right now, but what are your thoughts about all of these Gene Simmons experiences lately? There's a lot of those this year, right? So there's the Las Vegas meet and greet, the upcoming Electric Lady Studio meet and greet after the New York show, Gene with his auction, So in your opinion, is this something so special for the fans, or is it just another money grab? What do you think?
I listened to the Shout It Out Loudcast, Tom and Zeus, and I listened to their kind of play-by-play of the whole weekend. And I think it was, it's a lot of money. I think it was it $5,000?
I think,
the two of them. And so it's $2,500 a person, which is a lot of money. I mean, but I got to be honest with you. It sounded like a lot of fun. And if it was a chance to, again, see everybody or meet everybody and get a bunch of us together in those circumstances, it certainly sounded like Gene was pretty available. Eric Singer, our guy, Todd Kearns. I mean, I look at that and I say, sometimes I think about all the money we spend on some of this merchandise and the box sets and all that, and think like that could be like a once in a lifetime, really great experience. I mean, dinners are included. I don't know. And I'm telling you right now, I could not afford that sitting here. But thinking about it, if you had enough time and you really absorbed it and talked to a few people, I'm not opposed to maybe entertaining that idea in the future. So I like that idea. Some of the other stuff, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather do that than, or would you rather go see Paul at an art gallery and pay $5,000 for a painting or $2,500 for a painting for him, or maybe make you a pizza. Maybe you go by Paul. Maybe Paul's going to charge $10,000. You go by his house and he lets you pick the toppings and. But Gene sounds like a guy in his older age here that's kind of like very reflective, and he seems to be. How can I put this to you? Really seems to be focusing on the end and endearing to the fans. You could see it in some of his tweets. He just seems to be like a little different guy, right? That he's changing a little bit and stuff. And
he seems like a kid again. He's driving around in a Cushman cart.
I would love to meet Stanley. I mean, I guess if I could meet anybody, I would want to meet him. But I've kind of changed that thought a little bit now. Maybe it is Gene. Maybe we have a better time with Gene. I don't know.
I saw an interview with Christina on the Mike Brunn show, and she basically really goes into detail about what it's like working with Gene and what went into the whole Gene Simmons Las Vegas experience. And, from listening to that particular episode, I really got the impression that Gene and Christina were thinking of what can we do that's so cool for the fans. And you might think that $5,000 is a lot, and it is, but for what you get, oh my God, it is so worth it. I mean, Gene was giving fans stuff directly from his collection.
Correct. Yep. How they put on?
Oh, exactly.
With that all-star band, right?
Yeah.
Talk about and the set list that they did. I mean, it seemed like a lot of fun, guys. It seemed like a deep cut Kiss fan's dream to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I don't think that it's I don't think it's a money grab. I think it's something really cool for the fans that could do it. And the fans that are going to pay that kind of money are going to have a great time, and they're going to tell themselves this was really worth it, every penny. And again, it's not about how much they spend. It's about the experience from that, and oh my God, if I could do it, for me, it's not the money. I have a credit card. I don't care. It's the traveling. It's all of that,
Sure.
I wish. Xander, what do you think?
I think that I don't think money is off the table. I think Gene is definitely money minded, but I think that he is really trying to give the best for the fans. It really reminds me of the Vault experience that he did a few years ago, which I didn't get to do, but Pasquale, I think you did. Yeah. And it was something that was, again, a once in a lifetime opportunity. Over the course of that Vault experience, he brought out every living member of Kiss, had a moment with them, no matter how long or short it was. He brought every living member of Kiss out. He made it worth the fans' while. And I think I even heard him say that, you hear when artists pass away, somebody always comes in and tries to re-release music in their name and unfinished projects and, something that the artists themselves maybe didn't want or didn't put out themselves. And so Gene wanted to avoid that by doing that himself. I'm going to give you the music myself from me. I'm going to hand sign it. I'm going to hand deliver it to you. And it's going to be a moment between me and you. And I think Gene has been really good at, doing that. Yes, this stuff costs a lot of money, but you'll make $5,000. I mean, ideally, you'll make $5,000 more in your life, but you'll never get to hang out with Gene Simmons for an evening. One of the things he's doing this December, I think, right after the shows in New York on December 3rd and December 4th, is he's inviting fans into, I think, Electric Lady Studios to record a song with him. And it's also, I think, about $5,000. But if you can think about going into a studio with Gene, writing a song, recording it, taking that song home with you, it's like, of course you pay $5,000. Why would you not? So I think that to anybody outside the six of us and those watching and listening, nobody would ever understand that. Why would you ever pay $5,000 to Gene Simmons to eat dinner with him? And it's like, because I get to eat dinner with Gene Simmons face to face. And of course, again, the auctions, he's looking to make the most money he can, but he knows that now is the right time because it's the end of the road tour and fans are in a state of nostalgia. And we're kind of thinking, what's it going to be like the day after Kiss stops touring? And, oh my gosh, we need to get all we can take now. So Gene, and, you can say he's cheating us or whatever, but he's taking advantage of that and saying, look, if this is, if you want it now, I'll give it to you now. I want to have dinner with you. I want to give my vault to you, and everything else he's doing it for us. And everybody outside the KISS sphere says, well, he's just stealing your money, you're just giving him money. Yes, but we are doing it willingly because we think that what he's offering is worth it. This is the thing that I've had trouble getting folks to understand, is that when I met Gene Simmons at the KISS Expo in 2013, it was $350. It was like $350 for a ticket, and you got a picture with Gene, the Q&A, and the photograph, and walking up, shaking high, and getting your picture taken. It's like a 5-second experience, but it's worth it because you get that forever. And so to anybody outside this sphere, it may not make sense to them, but to KISS fans it does, because we know what we're getting, and what we're getting is worth it, because we have a love for this band that it's hard for everybody else to understand. So I think that what Gene is doing is very, very unique for us and for KISS fans. And of course, if you don't like it, you don't love it, you don't have to do it. That's the beauty of it. Nobody's
pushing you.
That's right.
Nobody's forcing you to do it. And that's the thing that I think upsets people, is that like, oh, they're trying to force this down the fan's throat. No, they're just saying, hey, here it is. If you want it, here it is. If you want a smash guitar for $3,000, or a signed drum for $4,000, or a meet and greet, or a sound check experience, we will offer everything you want and more. Mm-hmm. You wanted the best, you got the best. Hottest band in the world, KISS.
But what Gene is doing with the auction is no different than what a fan would do if they're trying to sell off their collection. If I were to sell my collection, I'd want to sell my collection to somebody that I know would appreciate it, a fellow KISS fan. And yeah, I'd want to get paid for that item. I won't just give it away. But I would take pride in having that collection go to someone that would take care of it. And I think that's what Gene is doing as well. But yeah, of course he's going to get paid for it.
And he should.
Brent, yeah, absolutely. Brent, what do you think?
I think the same thing that you guys have said. I think that I kind of fall in Xander's camp. Xander, me and you agree on something. Look at that.
You heard it here.
No, just kidding. But I think, yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. If it has to have a cost, and unfortunately not everybody that can afford it, that would like to do it, will be able to afford it. That's just the way it is. But you have to offer, it's a premium service. It's a premium event. You are rubbing elbows with Gene Simmons, eating dinner with Gene Simmons, getting quality time with a man who can only be in one place at one time, who's only on this earth for a limited amount of time left, and you're getting something from his personal collection, and you're getting that experience. And you have to charge a certain level of that. Otherwise, you would have such a demand for it.
That's right.
That you couldn't fill the demand. So you have to price it at a point where either a certain type of person can afford it, or somebody has to make a sacrifice to do it. And so, I mean, it's just how it is. It's why rooms at the nice hotels, a luxury 5-star hotel, it's the same reason it costs more than a 1-star hotel. Mm-hmm. You cannot stay at a big casino hotel or a big nice hotel in downtown New York for the same amount of money that you stay at the Motel 6 in Morganton, North Carolina. It don't work that way.
Why not? Why can't I bring my beer to your 5-star resort? Why not?
Exactly. So, and I don't blame Gene. I mean, people like to hate on Gene and everything. And what I've always said, when it comes to people say, oh, he's just money grubbing and he's just a money grab. There are some things that KISS has done that I call money grabs. And when they are a money grab, I will be honest. And I know everybody on this screen, Xander and everybody on this screen, would be honest to say, this is just a money grab. This is just a cash grab. This is just this. This is just that. They've done that. But a lot of times, especially with albums and stuff, and sometimes I feel like that with certain albums and certain releases and certain merch, sometimes it might possibly be a cash grab or a money grab, but just don't buy it, and just don't buy it. If you feel like it's a money grab or cash grab, just don't buy it. And if, like I bought the sound check tickets, $250 added onto my, and so I had to weigh what I have in my budget what I've already spent on my ticket. I'll be honest with you guys. I got the cheapest tickets I could get because I just wanted to get in the building so I could be with you guys.
Yeah.
That's that to me is and now we're going to get to spend even more time together at a sound check that I paid $250 for. And we're going to be in a more intimate environment, closer to the band, closer to each other, because none of us are sitting together except for the Right Between the Eyes guys. And so we get that moment together. And to me, yeah, could I spend that $500 on it's close to $2,000 after I put in my hotel and my plane tickets. Could I spend that $2,000 on something else? Absolutely. Could I kept that money in savings and absolutely, but I would miss out on the experience I'm going to have with you guys. And it's the same thing. I'd hear you guys talking about it afterwards and I'd be like, man, I could have been there, there. So that's why I did it. And so, if I had $5,000 laying around and got the chance to go do something like that with Gene, I'd probably do it with Gene more than anybody else in the band, over Paul or Ace or Peter. I had my moment meeting Peter, and that, cost me all in all about $400 and about 7 hours worth of time for about a 2-minute experience. It was worth it, So, yeah, but I don't think it's a cash grab. I think he's offering something. It was just like with the vault. He's offering something to people that he feels like they would want. And apparently they do. So,
yeah. All right, Claudio.
Well, you said it all. Basically, I don't have much to add. Just maybe to put it in different words. Gene knows how to run business cases, right? So it doesn't have to be $200 for 1 million people. He does the math. He does the reverse engineering, and he does, okay, 5K, I'm going to put, 300 people, 400 people there. And so then that closes the deal, so he doesn't stop, and he will never stop doing that. And I want to connect this with the previous topic that Brandt brought up about, this quiet, release of stuff. I think that the band now is concentrating more on touring, and to 2023, they just want to go with the flow, wrap up, all the shows that they have. And then I think that maybe next year after, Madison Square Garden, that's when they're going to come back with a big marketing machine and start releasing stuff. And also, I think that sometimes because we got used to this machine last year and the years before, and sometimes we think that, or we want to believe that there's a huge machine thinking all the time, oh, we should be released this, because the fans might want to see this or that. Maybe it's not the case. Now maybe everything is kind of a standby. These guys are touring, filling their pockets with money, huge, crowds. And then next year, they're going to sit down and write the marketing plan, and they're going to say, okay, this year we're going to release, a 50th anniversary. They're going to go with Kiss maybe for the box set, maybe some other off the soundboard. But I'm just trying to connect the dots between the two subjects. But again, going to the money grab, look, nobody's pushing you, man, to spend money. You do what you want with your money. We're nobody to judge what you do with your money. If it's $5,000 that you want to spend, and also you have to remember, so the demographics for Kiss fans, were most of us, in our 50s, 60s, or 70s. You can afford that. So that's the kind of demographics that he's targeting. He's not targeting, a family, to go with their kids, to Vegas. So he knows how to run the show.
Very well said.
Yeah. Rob.
Without repeating what everyone else said, when we were doing the road to Rosemont, there was part of me that was like, oh, I'm gonna try and do a meet and greet. I would love to try and do Eric Singer's drum, and I was thinking bigger. I was going to sell off my comic collection. And my wife was like, whoa, stop. She goes, I don't want you to sell off a bunch of stuff. She's like, why are you going to this show? And the first thing I said was to meet Nick and Nico. And she's like, that's it. She goes, that's the experience that you want. She goes, go do the sound check. Go do that private thing. She's like, my wife, I love her to death. She always has this look of like, okay, where can we rob Peter and Paul and James? And then John, how far down the line we can go. She's like, you're already going for the experience that you want. She's like, you went to the first floor of Macy's. Don't try to go to the 10th floor,
Don't push it.
So
right?
yeah. So not that I was pushing, but I was talking about reverse engineering it. I'm like, that's the purest thing, was spending these last 2 years with you guys and then getting to meet, Xander and getting to meet Brant and being on your guys' show here.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the experience right there. All the money in the world. Yeah, I could have this $5,000 plate deal, but to go to concert with a group of you guys or some of you guys and to say, oh, wasn't that really cool? That's the thing. This year, I'm kind of glad to not be spending a bunch of extra money. I want to have moments. I want to have experiences that we've all said it on our shows. We're going to be talking about remember when, or, Kiss was once a rock band in America. So I think taking these moments of going, like I was able to squeeze in a show in Ohio and, just the journey of getting to Rosemont, the journey of you guys going to all the shows, that's the experience. All the trinkets and the $5,000 plates, that's icing on the cake. If you can do that, great. But I'm trying to be right here, right now. So being on the screen with all you guys, that's the experience for me as a Kiss fan, that I'm not by myself in my basement going, oh, I love this band. That I get to look up on the screen and there's Kiss stuff behind all of our screens. It makes a kid that discovered Kiss in 1989 very happy in 2020.
Yeah, and there's something I would like to add to that, because before I miss that, we went for breakfast this morning with Pascal, and we were talking just about this. Okay, to me, and this is very personal, you can buy any merch that you want. You can go to any events that you want. Meets and greets. Meet the guys or whatever. But in my case, I think the most value comes from fans, from friends, making strong friendships, thanks to Kiss. To me, that became more important than what the band is doing now. Of course, I would like them to write new music and blah, blah, blah. But, now I think it's not my priority. Priority it is to have fun, to make, strong relationships thanks to the band. That's it. So to me, that's what it's all about.
Nice. All right, guys. So we're gonna end the episode with one final topic. And Claudio, I know how much you like to go last, so I chose for you to come up with the final topic.
Oh, okay. Well, I had written mine, but Brant, he already mentioned the box sets. I just wanted to have your opinion, but we're gonna skip that. So now let's get to the final show. Okay, let's close our eyes, and we're all in Madison Square Garden, and to be an unforgettable night. We know that these guys, they might not change the set list. Most likely, Ace is not going to be there. Peter's not going to be there. But I just wanted to have your opinion. What would you like to see, and what do you think it's most likely to happen for an opening band? Do you think there's going to be an opening band? Would you like to see Bruce Kulik? I know that this topic has been discussed many, many times, but I would like to have your opinion. Bruce Kulik with his band opening up for them, a tier 1 band, a big bill, having, I don't know, Skid Row, I don't know, some of the big, Kiss related bands that we all know. Or what's your take? What would you like to happen?
Let me start. I know I would like to have the Painter open up, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Painter. Yeah.
Like to see him for the 4th time.
Yeah, sure.
I got rocked with David Lee Roth. We were supposed to have David Lee Roth, and they kicked him off the door or whatever happened. But
I brought it
here's the thing, so obviously the last 2 nights in New York. You know, Nick and I still fantasize, and we talked to Rob. I mean, I don't think we're going to be there, but I don't know. You never know. My son's a little crazy sometimes. I think that for me, honestly, I say this and I really mean this. So for opening band, I don't know what they're going to do. I would think that would be awesome. They have the Bruce Kulik band. I think that would be fitting. I think it would be great. I don't think those other 2 guys should be there at all. I don't think it looks right. I don't think I was listening to that interview with Doc McGee, and you know, you're going to have 2 spacemen, 2 cats. They talk about jamming, right? They're not a jam band. So like, what are you going to invite Bruce on stage with them? You know, they're 7 feet tall, and you're going to have guys in pedestrian clothes and all that. And maybe I say this just maybe because I'm jealous. I'm not going to be there or whatever, but I think they should just end this tour the way the tour is. I don't think there's going to be anything particularly different in the set list. I think it's fitting that the emotion of just the event itself and the idea that that's really going to be it. Keep it simple. Keep it that show. There's going to be a ton of celebrities, family. Everybody's going to be there. That will be the event itself. I don't see anything different.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want it any other different way right now. I mean, I just don't see it turning into a clown show. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just don't see all these different moving parts. Maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all that stuff's going to happen. I don't know if I just think that's the way it should be. This is the Kiss that's going out. We talked about interchangeable parts, all that. But think about it. This band's been together now for 20 years, basically, right? One cohesive band, this unit before longest of any iteration of the band in history. I think they deserve to go out that way.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
I got to tell you something. I strongly believe the final 2 shows in New York are going to be the greatest rock and roll show on this planet. And you know why I say that? Because I don't care what's going to happen at those final 2 shows. I have absolutely no expectations because we're going to be celebrating the final 2 shows with 20 other Kiss fans. And it's going to be a party to end on all parties. And I don't care what they do on that stage. Like Claudio said, it's not about that. It's about the experience with each other. And that's what I'm looking forward to most. And whatever happens on stage is a bonus. I strongly believe, like you, Nick, that it's going to end the way it started with the end of the road. I don't think there's going to be new songs. I don't think there's going to be anything different about it.
Do you think they're going to have an opening band or not?
I think it's going to be an opening band, and it'd be nice if they have a couple of legacy bands that open up for them. You know, bands that opened up for them previously on other tours, whatever it may be. First thing that comes to mind for me, Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. Be an awesome. Yeah,
that would be really
cool. Love that. Would love that. But besides that, you know, it's like for me, it's the experience, and Kiss has been. The end of the road tour has been a fantastic tour. Why make changes at the end? Why chance something being messed up on your final 2 shows? Do what you do best. The fans are going to love it anyway because it's the end. It's really as simple as that for me anyway. Rob, what do you think?
I think the litmus test is going to be when they are actually in the United States and they start the drive-through. If there's going to be any changes to the show at all, it's going to happen in the U.S. leg getting there. And I'm not going to say they're going to add 5 new songs. What I think is going to happen, there'll be 2 shows. The show's going to be filmed. Let's say they play Making Love one night, Tears Are Falling the next night. They put a DVD, some type of package together that encapsulates any new song that might get played. I'm not saying there's going to be more, but I agree with you. And I'm just going to roll this into our Rosemont thing. It's going to be a party of all parties. They can play whatever they're going to play. And we hear Do You Love Me for the 900th time. We're all going to be jumping up and down like a bunch of kids hearing all these songs one last time. So I think for that New York show, it'll be something like that. And I believe there's a good chance if you see the show one night, it won't necessarily be the same show the next night, meaning there could be a 1-song swap.
Yeah.
Just because I believe they're going to archive the show somehow. So whatever, or that's a good opportunity to do the same show twice. And this is from night one, this is from night two. So I could be talking out of the side of my mouth. I would love to see a Bruce Kulik there. Just seeing Quarantine last week and hearing all those 80s songs and hearing I Just Wanna again, that would be great to see Bruce represent that.
Absolutely.
But I almost don't want there to be an opening band. That anticipation of it being Kiss and only just Kiss, because I think whoever's on the stage, we're going to be like, yeah, okay, get to the show, get to the thing that we're all excited about. It'd be cool to see something like Cheap Trick, but I would just like to have that anticipation just build and it just be Kiss, and that's what it is. So I think at the most, you may get a song or two different on the two nights just to cover their stuff. So.
Okay.
Do you think fans would get upset if night one would be different from night two if they're only seeing one?
I think that would be, for some people, that's why you got to go to two. I mean,
Right.
Kiss is no stranger to doing that. Like, that was the fun thing about seeing Kiss on tour, way back when. Oh, you got to see this show. Like the Rock the Nation tour just was a revolving set list of stuff. I Stole Your Love only got played twice that whole entire tour. So I would think it'd be cool for Kiss to do something like that. They probably won't, but should have bought 2 tickets.
Yeah. Okay, Brent, what do you think?
I kind of agree with things that's already been said. I really don't care if there's an opening band. At my concert, we're 4 shows from the end, and I just think that's amazing that my final show is going to be one of the 4 final shows. To me, like I said, it's already been said. It's more with me after coming back after 20 years. It's more about the experience. The band playing that show is just kind of like the setting of me being able to meet you guys. I know I won't be meeting you, Pascal and Claudio, not yet, but I will in the future at some point in time. For sure. But it's just going to be meeting these guys and hanging out with these guys. Even what do they call it? Pre-gaming, even before. I mean, I'm going to be up there. I'm going to be flying in the morning of the day before. So I'll have all day the day before, and then we'll have all day. And I'm going to be right there. My hotel is right there. It's a Holiday Inn that's right there at the venue. And so I'm going to be right there. I'm going to be right in Nick and Nico's backyard, and Rob's going to be in. And then I think Xander's coming in at some point in time. And I know that Emily Graziano, she lives in Chicago. She's coming in. AJ, he lives in Chicago. AJ, I don't know if he's going to the show, but he said that he's going to come in to meet. So we're going to have our own little gang, our little posse that we're going to just basically hang out, and the show's just going to be a backdrop for that.
There you go.
And I've seen this show and all versions of it online so many times that I almost know it. I know it from front to back, but it's not like living it. And so I'm going to look forward to living it. Would I like to see some changes in the set list? Sure. But if they play it exactly the way they play it, so be it. And at this point in time, honestly, when it comes to Ace and Peter, and I'm, a lot of my fans may be shocked to hear this, but honestly, at this point in time, I don't care if Ace and Peter's not there. If they're there, I will probably fall into the floor and have to be resuscitated. Because I just will, because they mean that much to me. But they don't mean that much to me that if they don't show up, I'm going to be like, man, I feel gypped because Ace and Peter didn't show up. Because honestly, if Ace and Peter was going to show up on this tour, I don't think it's fair to all the people who have paid money to see this band all these times and all this stuff. And the only way that I think, the most remote way that I think that anybody other than the 4 guys that's in the band is going to show up on this stage would be in New York. And they would have to show up for both nights, because I honestly believe I'm kind of in the same vein that Rob. I think night 1 and night 2 in New York, they need to be identical shows. It just needs to be. There were 2 shows because we knew we were going to sell.
Right.
Like you said, they do the logistics. They know. We know we're going to sell 1 show. We can probably sell 2 shows. Could we sell 3 shows? Maybe not. Maybe not. So they kind of did their homework, and they know that 2 shows, there's not going to be everybody that's going to be able to get in. And the people that are going to want to get in, they're going to have to really want to get in because all the tickets are sold and they're going to pay now the escalated prices of the tickets to get in. So it's going to become a supply versus demand type thing. And KISS is good at creating that. They're good at creating that supply, that limited supply and higher demand. They even do it with their albums with these limited runs. But I think that I'm just looking forward to it. I don't care if they have an opening band, because if they don't have an opening band, that just gives me more time to talk with these guys before we have to run off to our seats and get into our, I know Xander, I watched Xander and Xander, what he's like, man, I'm just about getting in and getting my seat. Man, you need to hang out with me before you run and get in your seat. We need to hang out. We need to, have an area where we maybe put out there, hey, we're going to be hanging out in this section. If you've ever seen our videos, come and see us, come and hang out with us. And you never know, man. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. At this point in time, I don't care what they do. Same exact show. I don't care.
Okay. Final word goes to Xander.
All right. Well, I don't think there's going to be an opening band. I think Rob said it best. I can only see it being, we want KISS, we want KISS. I can't imagine somebody else coming out and saying, hey, check out our new album. It's coming out. We don't care about your next album. We care about the last KISS. So I think that it will more than likely just be a show all about KISS. I do think that both shows will be identical, and I'm usually the one that's grounded here in reality, so I'll be the one to kind of go off into fantasy land. I would like to see KISS have a brand new stage for the last 2 shows. I think they have had this end of the road stage for 4 years. It's not new to anybody. We've seen it. I would love for them to, whatever it is, I'm not going to, try and tie their hands or whatever, but I think it would be cool for them to just not say anything, and then when the curtain drops, we're looking at some stage that we've never seen before. Right. Maybe it is similar to the End of the Road tour, but it's enhanced. Maybe it's something different. I don't know. I think that it would be totally awesome to see a brand new stage for the last 2 shows. And I do think that it would be cool to see a few setlist changes. Again, you can't take out Detroit Rock City, Love Gun, Black Diamond, Rock and Roll All Night, Lick It Up. Those songs you can't take out, but you can. It makes me think about the KISS Rocks Vegas residency that they did. They had a typical KISS set list, again, your Love Guns and your Black Diamonds and whatever, but they also threw in a couple really cool gems, songs like Creatures of the Night and Tears Are Falling, which we think of those songs as being like Tears Are Falling has been in the End of the Road set list, but that wasn't out back then. That song hadn't been played since probably Rock the Nation almost 10 years prior, so that song was awesome to hear. Hide Your Heart was on that tour before, so they can bring some stuff out. So I think that even though it might not be a brand new set list of stuff, I think if they brought out, like Nothing to Lose, it was their first single, it's their last show, play their first single, have Eric sing it. I don't know, we'll see. But I think that there are a couple points in the set list where they can get away with some stuff, because I feel like the crowd at those garden shows are going to be one of 2 people. They're either going to be the rich, snooty people who can pay that kind of money just to have a one-off nice weekend, a getaway weekend, and you're going to have your diehard KISS fans who are literally scraping together, remortgaging their house and selling off their stuff and trying to get to these last shows. You're going to have one of 2 people. So of course they're going to play the songs like Love Gun and Black Diamond for those fans. But I think since you're going to have a lot of fans who are literally emptying their wallets for this, and they're going to want something to hold on to, I think that it'd be nice to go above and beyond the usual End of the Road set list, again, without breaking the mold that we know they're going to go with. I do think there is some wiggle room there. I think there's going to be a DVD. If they're smart about it, there will be a DVD. There will be a documentary. There will be a live album or something like that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there have been cameras following them around everywhere they go. And I'm not talking like cameras like on concert on the stage where the
No,
feed goes to the
hotels
screen.
and
I'm
everywhere.
talking about
Yeah.
like cinematic
Yeah,
cameras
yeah.
that you would shoot for like a wild nature documentary or
Yeah,
whatever. So I'm
yeah.
wondering what they're doing, and it makes me really excited because whatever they do, it's going to be great. I don't know if anybody's coming out as a special guest. We'll see. But I can tell you right now that it's going to be spectacular, and we're all going to be right back here December 3rd talking about it and how awesome it was, and I'm really excited.
I want to throw out a quick question, if you're not, well, you two guys are going to actually be there, but for those of us who are not at the New York shows, are you going to be trying to catch it on a stream somewhere? You're going to be trying to catch somebody TikTok streaming and or Facebook live doing it? Well,
yes.
Are you going to try to catch it while it's going on? Or, rather than wait until the next day?
This goes in with what I was going to say. What did they do on the farewell tour? There was that pay-per-view show. Do you think, for those of us that can't get the New York ticket, that there will be a pay-per-view, some type of event that you could pay, like Dubai? Sorry, I swore. But there'll be a streaming event where you can't go to the show, but you can watch it from your.
I'd pay for it.
I think so. I think even though Dubai left a bad taste in some people's mouth and some people may bring that up, I think that KISS may try to do that again, and hopefully they can do it with somebody more reputable. But yeah, that would be a great way to do it, to make more money, to capitalize on it. 110%.
Anyway, guys, to be honest, I had no idea what to expect to have 6 diehard KISS fans on the same screen talking KISS. I think Roundtable 3 was a huge success. Thanks to you guys. The topics were fantastic. Discussion was fantastic. I learned a lot tonight that I didn't know. I didn't know before, and got to know you guys a little bit better and feel a little closer to you guys tonight. It's been a fantastic night. Thank you so much again for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So
I'm so glad I didn't have to host it.
So who's doing whose house is the table going to next time?
Xander.
Yeah,
I've been drafted. Sounds good. We'll send you guys the invite.
So before I let you guys go, we're going to go around the table to let our listeners know where to find you and a little bit about your socials. We'll start with Rob.
You can follow us at RBTE Podcast on Twitter. We are primarily an audio podcast, but this guy lately has been doing a lot of video content. So we do have a YouTube channel, but we're on Facebook. Just look up Right Between the Eyes podcast. 3 generations of KISS fans with one of the guys down there below, Nick Caruso and his son, Nico. And we're looking at KISS generation wise, the different eras where we came in and how we view the whole KISS ball from 3 different perspectives. It's really, really fun. Come check us out.
Cool. Nick.
You can follow me at N Caruso Jr. on Twitter. And I also do another podcast with my son, Nick, and our good friend, Nick Zednick, the Vigilante 1939. That's my other love, which is comic books, superhero movies, Star Wars, science fiction, you name it. We cover that.
Beautiful.
Nice. Brent.
You can find me on YouTube. Just search In My Head channel. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter, In My Head channel as well.
Awesome.
Easy to find.
And again, final word goes to Xander.
Yeah, check out KISS Army Things on YouTube. That's where our podcast is. We also have some non-podcast videos you can check out on YouTube. Also follow us at KISS Army Things on Instagram and KISS Army Things on Facebook, where we, in just a couple of months, will be celebrating 10 years of KISS Army Things on Facebook. So come celebrate with us, and you can find us on Twitter as well. But yeah, KISS Army Things. Come check us out.
Super cool. Well, once again, as Pas was saying before, Nick, Rob, Xander, Brand, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome. It's been a blast. So we had a great night.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for doing
Thank
this,
you
guys.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the KISS Army, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please send them to talktome@kissarmynationpodcast.com. Until the next time, remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, Automatic, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to make yourself heard. Leave us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See you all soon, KISS Army.